Hey everyone, and welcome back to today's Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through this latest breakdown. Look, today we're looking at a device that just completely ignores all modern smartphone trends. Instead, it goes all in on pure, unadulterated performance. We're talking about an absolutely uncompromising, function-over-form piece of tech that recently hit the Chinese market and has the whole tech world buzzing right now. We're looking at the unapologetic gaming beast, the Redmi K90 Max.
229 grams. Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. We're living in an era where smartphone makers are literally fighting tooth and nail to shave off a single gram here or half a millimeter there just to create the sleekest, ultra-thin aesthetic possible. Well, the Redmi K90 Max? It completely rejects that philosophy. When you pick this thing up, you immediately feel its massive weight and just stocky presence. It doesn't want to magically disappear into your pocket. It definitely wants you to know it's there. Which naturally brings us to the obvious question, right? Why is this phone so ridiculously heavy and thick? Like, what could possibly be hiding inside this casing to justify a weight of nearly 230 grams? Okay, let's dive into this. Because solving the mystery of this bulky metal frame reveals some of the absolute most extreme engineering we've seen in a mobile device this entire year. Section 1. Meet the heavyweight champion. So to support everything going on inside, the engineers went with a super robust metal frame, which of course contributes a ton to that hefty weight we just talked about. And protecting the front of the display is Dragon crystal glass. Now, interestingly, right out of the box, Redmi totally embraces this chunky vibe. The unboxing experience actually reveals an included hard, slightly opaque protective case. It's kind of cool. It's not perfectly clear, but it's not totally dark either. Just a really high-quality, rigid shell. Actually, that makes me curious about you guys. When it comes to your own phones, do you prefer these rigid hard cases, maybe the soft silicone ones, or just something completely opaque? Let me know, because either way, Redmi assumes you're going to want to protect this heavy investment right out of the gate.
Moving on to Section 2, a literal built-in fan.
Okay, so if you look at the back of the device, you'll spot what looks exactly like a really large speaker grill. But it's actually a secret weapon. Hidden right there inside the chassis is a literal built-in mechanical fan, moving blades, the whole shebang. This marks Redmi's first ever phone equipped with an active cooling system, and it is a massive 18.1 millimeters in size. Guys, it even comes with a tiny little cleaning brush in the box. And look, for anyone who understands high-end mobile performance, you already know a gamer's worst enemy isn't the other team, it's thermal throttling. When your processor gets too hot, it slows down, and your game starts stuttering. This fan actively fights that heat to keep your performance totally peaked.
The engineers literally designed a wind tunnel inside this phone, and this brilliantly illustrates exactly how it works. Step 1, when the fan kicks on, cool air is pulled straight into a top inlet. Step 2, that fresh air sweeps across a massive 6,000 square millimeter vapor cooling chamber. Step 3, the now hot air is forcefully pushed right out of a bottom outlet. You can seriously hear the fan whirring and physically feel the warm air venting out of the device. It's crazy. So what does all that airflow actually do for you? Well, this active mechanical system actively drops the phone's internal temperature by 5 to 7 degrees Celsius during those heavy, intense gaming sessions. Now, in the world of mobile computing, a 7-degree drop is absolutely monumental. It is literally the difference between a game stuttering after 20 minutes and running flawlessly smooth for hours on end.
Section 3, raw power and massive battery.
So we know how it keeps its cool. Let's shift gears to the internal engine and the fuel tank that require all that extreme cooling in the first place. Powering this absolute beast is the MediaTek Dimensity 9500 processor. Now, full disclosure, because this is an imported Chinese unit, standard benchmark apps were blocked. But based on other devices rocking the 9500, we are looking at an estimated AnTuTu score of 3.4 to 3.5 million. That's just wild. Supporting that brain is 12 gigs of cutting-edge LPDDR5X Ultra RAM for basically seamless multitasking, plus a lightning-fast 256 gigabytes of UFS 4.1 storage, meaning your heaviest games load almost instantly. And bringing it all together, it's running incredibly smoothly on HyperOS 3.0, which is based on Android 16.
But what does all that raw power actually mean for you, the end user? Well, it means you can push BGMI to a flawless 120 frames per second and Call of Duty Mobile up to an unbelievable 165 frames per second. How are they doing this? Well, aside from the raw muscle of the processor, the phone actually includes a dedicated D2 gaming chip.
This secondary chip handles frame interpolation, basically artificially generating extra frames to give you incredible smoothness. It pushes compatible games right to their absolute limits without overtaxing the main CPU. It's a real game changer.
The catch, though, is that pushing 165 frames per second drains your juice really fast, which is exactly why the engineers packed in this gigantic number, an 8,500 milliamp hour battery. I mean, sure, nowadays we occasionally see 9,000 or even 10,000 milliamp hour batteries, but 8,500 is still totally colossal. It definitely explains a good chunk of that 229-gram weight we saw earlier. Oh, and to top that massive tank up, they throw a 100-watt wired charging adapter right inside the box.
Let's keep the energy up here because the multimedia specs are just as insane. To actually display those 165 frames, you're getting a massive 6.83-inch AMOLED display with LTPO technology, so it dynamically saves battery, and, you guessed it, a 165 Hz refresh rate. It completely supports HDR10+ and Dolby Vision for stunning, punchy contrast. Security? Handled by a super premium ultrasonic fingerprint sensor hidden right under the glass. And for the audio side of things, it features BOSE-tuned stereo speakers that create this truly immersive, room-felling soundscape. As for staying connected to the rest of the world, the K90 Max leaves absolutely nothing on the table. Power users, listen up. You get the absolute latest Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4. It supports 15 different 5G bands, features full NFC support for all your contactless payments, and naturally, it includes Xiaomi's signature built-in IR blaster. So yeah, you can control your TV or air conditioner straight from the phone. It is quite literally a power user's toolkit. Section 4. Average cameras, elite durability. Okay, it is time to pivot to the elephant in the room, the compromises. Because let's be real, no phone can do absolutely everything at a reasonable price point. While we have these incredibly elite features, like the Dimensity 9500 and that massive battery, unlike its sibling the Pro Max, this device drops wireless charging entirely. Plus, the camera setup is decidedly basic. You're getting a decent 50-megapixel main sensor and an 8-megapixel ultrawide, but no telephoto lens whatsoever, alongside just a standard 20-megapixel selfie camera. It is super vital to remember. This explainer is about a pure performance machine, not a photography flagship. But while the cameras might just be average, the durability of this thing provides a massive, massive wow moment. Think about this. Despite having an open fangirl for air, physical holes in the chassis, and moving mechanical parts, it somehow achieves an IP66, IP68, and a mind-blowing IP69 waterproof reading. You could theoretically take this phone completely underwater and it would survive. The pure engineering required to isolate that internal air tunnel from the delicate internal electronics is just incredibly well executed. Section 5, the final verdict. So we've seen the raw power, we've felt the massive weight, we've checked out the incredible cooling fan, and we've talked through the necessary compromises. Let's wrap this all up with pricing and availability. Currently, this device is priced around 3,000 yuan over in China. If, and honestly, it's a pretty big if, it launches in the Indian market. Tech analysts are expecting it to land somewhere in the 40,000 to 45,000 rupee bracket. However, since the Redmi K series sometimes skips international releases, there is some really strong speculation going around that this exact hardware might arrive globally rebranded under the Xiaomi 17T moniker. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that name. And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. I want to leave you all with a bit of a provocative question to chew on. Would you, personally, carry a thick 230-gram phone just to game at 165 frames per second without ever overheating? Do you value raw, unadulterated fan-cooled performance over a sleek, lightweight, pocket-friendly aesthetic? It's such a fascinating trade-off. Thank you so much for hanging out and learning with me today, and I'll see you all in the next explainer.